There we go.
Hey Tyler,
Hi.
how are you?
You look like, why is your logo not on there? You look like you're one of my
It,
agents.
I know it's been there for me. Like I think someone from your team added this background for me. Let me change it. Change it to my project.
Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for coming to hang out with us today. Lou, are we live? We're good to go. Everybody's in here.
Yeah, so we currently have 21 participants right now, but a lot of people will be coming in shortly. So you can go ahead and start.
Cool. Awesome. Go ahead and throw this on my Facebook too if you got a second. Thank you.
Okay.
Ashita, so nice to see you.
I know. It's so good to see you too. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Okay, awesome. So we don't have a slideshow today, y'all, and please feel free anytime throw any questions you've got in the chat, any topics you want to cover. Today we're talking design trends in 2025. So as the number one Airbnb designer in the world,
You every time when you say that.
let's start with 2024. What did you do? What was like cutting edge in 2024? What was new? There was so much cool stuff you did like at your Black Mountain property, which I think we can probably share the screen and pull up on here if you want. Yeah, what was new? What did you experiment with? What was the theme? And then a little bit later, after we can answer some questions and then we can kind of go into what is going to be like the experimentation of 2025. How do we possibly get any better than what we've seen so far? So let's start there.
Yeah, so well, 2024 for us, let's just back up one more year, right? 2023, where we were just coming out of probably COVID. 2022 was at its peak, where people were putting their turnkey projects online and they were still performing so well. And 2023 was like a realization where, hey, design is important for every SDR. So we were seeing a lot of bold colors. We were playing with murals. We were playing with wallpapers. We were theming out each and every Airbnb differently based on the location that it was. Probably identifying a piece of real estate where we could maximize that. Those were like the garages, and we saw a lot of garage conversions in 2023, which was in game rooms or theater. So having that got a lot of success in 2023, set us apart and a lot of our clients. In 2024, when we moved in, we were not reinventing any wheels. We were actually taking forward what was working in 2023, but adding probably layers to it. So 2024, we tried to tie the indoors and the outdoors together cohesively. So now it literally became an experience where we were working with a lot of outdoor designing. We were tying in to make it a more cohesive experience. More like a resort style where you saw Black Mountain. We have an example of a client, Tyler, you would know Myra, her house in Asheville, where it was a 3 bedroom home, literally did not have any other place where we could add amenities because that house only came with a living room and 3 bedrooms, no garage, so that we could convert, or no rec room where we could add amenities. The only advantage for that home that we had was that it was sitting on half an acre lot, that we could utilize the front yard, and we made like an oasis, adding all the amenities: outdoor kitchen, theater, outdoor movie theater, sauna, wellness center, and made an oasis which today I think it's grossing 6 figures. I think she grossed around 132, but had it just been us focusing on interiors, it would be a push to even cross $60,000 revenue in that particular property.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. I think that one. And what I'll do is I've got an Airbnb wish list that I'll throw in the chat for everybody here in just a second. And you can check out some of these properties. They're really, really cool. And then I'm also going to share my screen here in a second when I actually pull that property so people can see, kind of what we're talking about. So I've got that up. Let me share my screen real quick. Uh, Yeah, we can do desktop one. Uh-oh, I've got a system settings thing. Hold on. Oh, I have to quit. And can you share your screen, Ishita? I would have to quit.
Yes, let me just open up the wish lists.
Yeah, I'll send it as a link to right now in the chat. This one in Asheville. And I think this is such a good case study because people always tell us like, oh, you need an amazing house or you can't do crazy things on a $500,000 budget anymore or this or that. And literally this was like a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom box, builder grade $500,000 house, slight views, but it's not like there's good long range mountain views or anything like that. And literally the owner sent us yesterday or the day before that their PDF for the last 12 months, where they hit 132,000 in revenue on this property. So I think it is a really good example, um, of a property that, was done really, really well and kind of has all those amenities and things like that. So this is kind of what you're talking about, went from 2023 to 2024 design, right? Kind of that crazy outdoor area.
Absolutely. And we've done so many different, like we've made like a whole Black Mountain being one of the examples which I can pull up, made like a whole mecca for families and kids to enjoy with custom built bowling alley. So that was 2024 for us, where we were really creating like a resort style experience for all the guests, which again is going to continue in 2025 regardless. Like I think the whole Airbnb is not a home anymore. I think it's just become an experience. So it's more experiential driven design that we are focusing on in 2025.
Yeah. I have a really good, if you scroll up real quick, and go back to where long range was on the page, if you scroll down just a bit, and I think no, back to that page you were on, and Swananoa was there as like the first one in the row. And I think it's a really interesting point that I just want to make. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Yeah, right there. No, go back to the page. I think it's just a really interesting point to make right here. If you look at home in Swanano, it says $390 a night, and home in Leicester, $385 a night. That home in Swanano was like just under $1 million. It's like 7 bedrooms. It's huge. You cannot rely on the number that you see on Airbnb to tell you what a house is actually making as an ADR. That number's totally wrong, and you can see it right there. Now, maybe different seasonality, the numbers might sway a little bit more, but that home in Swananoa did 270,000 in the last 12 months, and we know that the ADR is like 950. So that 390 a night that you're seeing right now is really probably just for low season versus what they're actually getting on an average basis. A good point, is like that your house in Black Mountain, if you want to pull that up. You guys just got a booking for $2,500 a night, which we never thought was possible in Asheville. Like those are oceanfront beach prices, right? We didn't know that a number like that was actually going to be possible.
I'm sorry, guys. It's taking me a minute to find these. It's such
That's
a
okay. So let's answer Nick's question here. I'm sorry, Nicole. Nicole asked, how about trends and must-haves for the best game rooms on a budget? So we'll take a pause from looking at Black Mountain. What are the best game room, must-haves on a budget, Ishita?
um let's talk about game rooms on a budget. I think I've seen um, one of the things that rooms that when you walk in a game in a garage, it doesn't feel like a garage. I think so. I'm having a difficult time to answer on a budget, but I feel try to make. I've seen a lot of listings that just hang loose lightings, cord hanging. I just feel like cameras don't lie when you photograph, and when it looks such DIY makeshift project, it's actually a little bit turn off. So I would feel what I would say, just play with lights. Even there are some great options on Amazon's. There are hexagon lights that you can put on the ceilings, which are very easy for any electricians to come in. And if you guys are handy, you guys can do it yourself as well. But play with lights. play with wallpapers or wall murals, and just paint it dark and a deep dark black color or any other dark gray color, and just add more colorful murals and play with lights. I think that would be like the easiest way I can tell you guys to add some spark to game rooms.
And I have a tip for everybody here. If you are not an artist, or whoever you're hiring is not an artist, find an image online of something that you want to make a wall mural. And then what you do is you have a projector, you project that image onto the wall, and then you paint on the lines. It's just like coloring in a coloring book, right? And it may not come out perfect, but it's going to be a whole lot better than trying to freehand something, right? So this is probably one of the best game rooms you've done recently. And you've got that, what is that called you've got almost like a mini Jumbotron, right? It's kind of contradictory, right? Mini Jumbotron, but it's really cool because you've got this kind of new amenity. So moving into 2025, I think I think we're going to see that mini Jumbotron in every game room going forward, because it's not that expensive.
Yeah, it was probably $1,500, so it was not bad at all.
And
For
it's such
four
a cool
32
amenity.
inch, yeah, four 32-inch LED screens. It was pretty good. But here is one example of a garage space. It was just one big box, had a filtration system on the right, but how do you level the entire garage was very smartly thought out, and that creates different spots. So this became like an air hockey spot on its own, a theater, and we have theater and the game room together in one space. But it doesn't look clutter, it doesn't look that it is not meant to be. So just giving it a thoughtful design and layout is very, very crucial.
Yeah, I almost like didn't notice. And you guys, like, I think one thing to pay attention to here is the color on the ceiling. This is becoming more and more of a trend where you're getting this kind of texture on the ceiling. And I think that really draws your eye away from some of like the quote unquote clutter of the game room itself, right? You've got a busy design in the corner that pulls your eye there. You've got this design up on the ceiling that pulls your eye there. So you're not just looking at, okay, here we've got a shuffleboard, movie theater seats, an air hockey, and a table tennis, like all shoved together. You've actually got this kind of multi-dimensional room where you've got this lighting that's kind of up on this, texture here. You've got these striped, design on the ceiling here, and everything came together really well. If you kind of thought of all this in your head, you might think this is going to turn out too busy, but I think people want to stay somewhere that is too busy, like that. Nobody wants this for their primary home, but we've seen these houses just do crazy over and over and over, where they are a little bit more experimental in where they'll stay versus where they want to live.
I cannot agree more.
What
I mean,
other
that's
things can you do like on a budget in a game? What's the most affordable? I see here you don't have any arcade games, so what are the affordable things you can put in there?
um I mean, we have an arcade room in this house. That's why, and we didn't have enough space to add arcade games in this particular garage. That's why we created in another room altogether, which is called as arcade room. Um, what other ways that we can add? I feel all these games are like, $1,000 or less. So if you get like an assortment of a bunch of 5 to 6 games, and as we said, try to make a background around it just to make it more immersive. And you can do it by yourself. It could just be color blocking. You don't have to go crazy with it, and just add LED lights. The way the strip lights, we dropped the ceiling just to create a different level in that space. Um, I think it just adds experience to it. But in terms of budget, I feel LED movie posters, probably if you're trying to combine, if you see here, just to create LED movie posters, anything that you can work with lights, sconces, or I think that would really stand out with using wallpapers or paint or murals. That would be my tip, that these are the ways that I would work. Like, we've done some garages where we have not had a lot of construction work, but what we've done is just get like a vinyl wallpaper and stuck it on all four walls. If it has a lot of color to it, and it just really photographs very, very well.
how do you, and we'll continue on into some of those 2025 design trends, but real quick, we have a question from Ashley Guy, who is a Savvy STR agent in Gulf Shores, Alabama. So if y'all are interested, just as a little PS here in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and investing there and how you can make 20% gross return on investment there, you should definitely PM Ashley Guy. You can do that here in Zoom, send her a little private message, set up a time to connect. I think that would be really, really smart on your end to do. But what do you think, Ishita? How do you? I'll kind of start here. I think, one of the ways that we do it is we reverse engineer the numbers. So, in Asheville, we can look at the comps, and the way that we do this is we go in AirDNA and we search for the best comps, and then we compare our house to what those houses have kind of as like a baseline, right? Obviously, we're kind of doing an imagery in our mind of what this subject property can be, because it's not going to compare to the best properties today. So you have to kind of go into your imagination and go, does this property have the right baseline? Can it match and or beat these properties that are doing the most revenue in the market for the same location and the same bedroom count, right? It does have to be comparable somewhat in terms of the price of the house, which you can determine kind of by the size, the bedroom count, the location, things like that. As long as those things are comparable and or your property that you're looking at is better, then you can compare it to some of the best properties in the market. So that's how we do it. We want to see, can we beat the best properties in the market, and how can we do that? And then we look at okay, now that we see that this house has the right baseline, right? It has the right bedrooms, bathrooms, spaces. We have enough room to do a game room, a movie theater, outdoor amenities, and or some layer of all of those things. If we go, yes, we have that in this house and it's the right price, it's the right location, it's the right bedroom count, then we start looking at reverse engineering. Okay, well, what is it going to cost to put in a theater, a movie room, a game room, those outdoor amenities, the design, the wall murals, the arcades, all that sort of stuff. And then we kind of reverse engineer it. Does that price that it would take to design this house, when we throw it in a pro forma, including the mortgage, what the client's actually going to put in terms of down payment, things like that, do those numbers all make sense? Can we, if it costs $250,000 to design this place, does the pro forma still work there based on the top comps in the area? And we're constantly looking at those top comps in the area. And because I work with the best designer and the best Airbnb designer in the world, we know that we can beat those. So a couple important things to kind of make sure of there. But Ishita, how do you do it? How do you determine, how much money to budget for design?
I think our strategy is a little bit, it goes in the same line where we are doing a comparison study with all the rentals in that 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, 6 bedroom, 7 bedroom. We gather all the data where we are seeing what all amenities do they have, what is the unicorn in that market, how is he performing, and what do they have that sets them apart. And then obviously studying the location of that particular house that we are going to be working on. Where is it located? Does it have any features that are marketable? Is it on the lakefront? Is it, does it have a creek? What is the floor plan? So we do, again, it's the same reverse engineer, but in terms of what our specialty is, it lies in the whole value add strategy. So we do a lot of renovations. So if you see this Swananoa house that we were talking about, this sits on the top of the hill. So it did not have a lot of room in terms of landscaping that we could do to add amenities. All it had were like 2 narrow decks, but it had a lot of, it was like a 5,700 square feet home. A home built in 90s, so it had a lot of these rooms that were you could not utilize. So how to smartly utilize, so we made this as an arcade room. It was literally a closet inside of a closet, which you wouldn't know how to use it, but we made this as a kids room. This middle room became like a TP tent for kids to play, and then we made this entire speakeasy arcade room. Then there were 8 bedrooms in this house. If you were to, I don't know if you guys can see this space,
You
but
got it. Yeah.
this was a half bath, and this one entire thing was a bedroom. We actually knocked off the wall. We made this half bath into a full bath, and this half of the room that was available to us, since this house sleeps around 24 people, we made like a custom sauna for 12 people. So again, bringing the wellness, adding amenity, that sets apart, right? So you have to gauge, like, where are you have to look for opportunities, where can we add something that would help us stand out. So this definitely, a whole wellness center was an add-on. Now, not only that will add more revenue, but is also like a whole value add proponent to it, that you are working with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so 2023 to 2024 was a lot about outdoor design, but it's interesting because, I think as people start to see some of these outdoor designs, they start to really believe that it's necessary. I don't think there's any one thing that's necessary. I think all of these things are layers, and this Wanna Know house really proves that, right? Because this had no room for outdoor amenities, yet outdoor amenities have become so important. And this property is doing 27% gross return on investment, $270,000 a year. And I think it was under $1 million. It was like 970 or something when I sold this. So, and actually, like, the mountain views in the photos look better in the photos than they do in person, because we've kind of accentuated the mountain views don't really actually look that good from the house. So we've kind of accentuated that through the photos. So, I think everything is about layers. And so it's just about adding and making sure you had enough. This property was about, let's do it on the inside. We have the area to kind of do this on the inside. And we had another property like this, 20 Northwest Uncle, that was about the same. Didn't have any space for outdoor amenities except for like one or two small outdoor decks, but had tons of space for indoor amenities. And then kind of the opposite on that long range house, no room for indoor amenities because it was just a 3-2 builder grade box, right? New construction, that long range there, but tons of room for outdoor amenities. Both properties work, so it's just about having some layers, like as long as you can go inside or outside or both would be better. Okay, so y'all, if you have any questions, please put them in. Okay, so going from 2023 to 2024, we've seen the outdoor progression, the game rooms, the wall murals, things like that.
Oh, look at that.
What's next?
I think for 2025, what we are doing in our studio is we are really working with the power of lighting a lot. Yes, we have talked about it in the past, but now we are really integrating custom lighting into our designs, be it indoor or outdoors. So it's not that it's stopping us from ordering neon signs or anything. That is still continuing, but we're adding a lot of custom lighting in our feature walls, for instance, pairing it with the wallpaper, pairing it with mural, indirect lighting, cove lighting, which enhances the look and feel of the feature wall. Again, creates an experience, creates an ambience. So I really feel great lighting can either elevate your home, and poor lighting can kill the vibe. So we are really trying to work a lot with lights. In one of our projects that we're working currently, we, in a game room, we've had an entire soccer field on the ceiling that is made with LED light. Or let's talk about, I don't know, it's a bit of a reveal, but let's talk about your house that we're working on. Your one of the wish lists that came to us was you wanting a cascading lights on the staircase, right? So as you step on and these lights come on their own, one step at a time. Now that you might not be able to photograph and market it, but it's an experience when the guests live in that house, are able to go by surprise. And I think that is what experiential interiors is all about, which will reflect in the reviews, which will reflect in, now people are getting into a lot of marketing, be it influencer marketing, be it like social media, using social media as a strong arm, which is where they can market these little tiny marketability of light.
Yeah, and I think that's going to really help in something like the reviews. And so kind of what she's talking about, Ishita's designing one of my properties that I bought last year. And I was looking at the staircase, and this thought just came to me of lighting underneath each step of the staircase. But instead of it just turning on or off, or there being a switch or anything like that, where everything comes on at once or not. I actually thought to myself, like, wouldn't it be amazing if there was some sort of a pressure pad and then each step came on as you walked up it? And literally, so I said to Sheeta, this would be amazing if you could figure out how to make this happen. And she did. And it's so cool. And the house isn't online yet, but I'm really excited to reveal that as a little feature to people. I think going above and beyond and small things like that. Sheeta had done an exterior video rendering for a house that I'm updating right now with her, a property I bought 2 years ago that now she's coming in and applying the Ishita effect to. We're moving a deck from the back deck in the spas there, the hot tub, and we're going to move it kind of up a hill, have some stairs that go up to it. It's in the trees. And so I said, can we do a ladder that even goes above that with almost like a hanging net type hammock thing that, you know, adults or kids can crawl up almost like a little tree house. And you had done that at Black Mountain. So I was kind of applying the effect that you had done at Black Mountain to this new deck that we're building. And so I think it's just about taking some of the best features you've seen from short-term rentals, which you can look at on some of these wish lists, and then applying them to your places in new and different ways and try to get that inspiration. Just don't settle. Like so many people get caught up in the little details, like I need to have a hot tub. Oh, I'm adding a sauna. This is a big, huge project. There's so many more little details that it takes, right? And I think it's kind of those finishing effects, those details that really 2025 is about, right? Like taking it total resort style.
I think that you made a good point, Tyler, and I was going to talk about it. I feel, people see our wish list, right? It keeps floating around. People see it on social media. And, and I keep on seeing these listing come up where I've seen a life-size chessboard come up. And as flattery as it is that, they are taking inspirations from our designs. But what I feel that people really need to play focus on, rather than just randomly positioning these amenities on the outdoor just to just tick those boxes that you have these amenities, tie them together beautifully. So if you have a sauna, it's not just placing a sauna as an amenity, but creating an experience around it. Have a pathway of like a gravel or paver blocks going to the sauna, have a green planter next to it, or pathway connecting all these amenities to create that resort style. I've seen so many listings that have tried to do outdoor spaces, but it doesn't look cohesive. I think that would be one of my biggest advice to everyone. Try to make it look cohesive, and it's so that it increases the longevity of the rental. You don't have to come back in a year and then say, oh, let's do it again. So
Yeah, I think that the biggest tip that I would give is like, don't ever worry that you're going too far. I have seen it time and time and time again where people don't go far enough. And, one issue that you're going to run into there is certainly going to be like people kind of pushing you out and edging you out. And so just to making sure to go from the very beginning and doing as much as you possibly can, I do really think it's important. Okay, so what else are we going to see in 2025, Ishita? What's like the next evolution of things? You mentioned lighting, and I think that that's a huge thing, especially after you've spent so much focus on it. Now it becomes easy. So what's next after that?
um again, I think let's touch upon branding, right? I don't think STR again is a house at all or anymore. It's a brand in itself. So turning spaces into stories, creating a brand around your home is utmost important. We as a studio ourselves, we are not into it as much in terms of like we suggest names because clients often ask us what should be the name of our rental based on the theme of the design. We do suggest, but we are not designing logos for it. But if you have a graphic designer, or if you have someone that can design things around your brand, have a wall which has a mural that talks about the branding of your rental. You have merch, you can add like things in your welcome basket, you can add coffee mugs, custom coffee mugs, like probably I don't know, guest guidebooks with your brand name. I think we are gearing towards more in branding and marketing, and that should be the focus, and thinking as your STR as a brand, because you're not going to stop at once, right? You're going to be buying year after year. So just creating a brand around your rental, I think that should be the focus.
Um, I think, we have a poll up there, and I think one thing that's really interesting is setting the ambiance. So when we're talking about lighting, we're talking about these kind of little features and fixtures here and there. Really, what we're talking about is kind of setting the ambiance, right? Like, when you walk into a luxury five-star resort, that you're in a luxury five-star resort. Like you feel it in all of the little details, and they all just come together really cohesively. So I think one thing you and I were talking about the other day was certainly things like fire and water features. So I see that as a big kind of move in 2025 is fire and water features. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think fireplaces, for sure. We are doing a lot of like ventless and direct vent gas fireplaces with a lot of, um, again, playing with artificial light behind the fireplaces too. So that is creating the ambience, right? Like adding indirect light to it. Water features, we have added waterfalls in our landscaping projects. That has been doing really, really well. But it just in the end, it just comes out to like what you want to prioritize, but for sure. However, you can
Yeah.
make your rental unique, right? So that's the whole game.
Got it. Okay, so Shirag has a question here. He's working on a two-car garage conversion to a game room. Can you highlight some ideas, Ashita, that you think would be good to add in 2025?
Two-car garage game room. Can you give me more context as to where is it located? What does the interior look like?
Yeah, so
Okay. So, oh, go ahead, Shirag.
hey Ishita, so it's in Maggie Valley. It's a cabin, 2000s built cabin, and most of the interiors has a cabin look. My sister-in-law designed it to slightly modern um, cabin, and was wondering how I could best utilize the two-car garage into the game room. And it has a mountain view.
Okay. I think we've touched upon this before. I don't know if it's a two-car garage, we've done, do you have a room for theater or can you combine the two together? Um, just make it nice and moody by painting it darker. Add lights to it. You can get these neon signs. Add some color to it. Either it is adding wall murals or it is adding wallpaper. Literally, Etsy, Wallism, Walmart. These are great vendors that you can go to, where you can get some fun, crazy, and it doesn't have to tie. Game room can be something that can be different as well. It doesn't have to go with the same theme of the house. You can play with the same color palette, but it can still look different. So don't be afraid of going a little bit bold with it when it comes to game room. But I would really work with long light.
And I think one thing to look at, Shirag, is going to be who's your guest avatar, right? Like you're going to certainly get different people in Maggie Valley than you're going to get in Asheville. So I think it's really important to look at who are your guests that you're trying to attract there and what sort of amenities do they want. Maggie Valley can tend to be a little bit of an older crowd. You can get some families and things like that. I wouldn't go so funky. I would definitely be leaning into the mountains. You can go modern mountain, for instance. But I would be leaning that kind of like mountain versus the Asheville colors that we're using and all the like vibes that we're getting like from Ashita's properties with all these different colors and things like that. Maggie Valley, you want to lean more into the outdoors if you can. So if you've got any outdoor features, for instance, I sold a house in Maggie Valley recently to a two-time client of mine, Michael, and they have a river, not a full river, kind of like a between a river and a creek, that's just got a slight waterfall to it. And they destroyed all the decks that were on the original house and really built the decks totally around the river. There's a deck that goes over it. You can hang kind of in a hammock over the river. So they've really kind of taken these elements of the outdoors and kind of brought it into the amenities. I think Maggie Valley is going to be a little bit more for the outdoorsy types. They like the mountains, and they're choosing to stay in Maggie Valley versus Asheville. So I would consider what does that sort of person look like when they're choosing Maggie Valley over an area like Asheville. So definitely something I think to consider there.
For sure, guest avatar is very, very important. And if you, I don't know your situation, right? Like the house, where is it located? Do you have decks, whatnot? But if you have a two-car garage, what we've done in the past as well, where we've created half of the garage as a wellness center. So you can add your hot tub and custom built sauna, or even get a sauna and create like a and yoga mats and create a wellness center in half of it, and the other half can be games. If it is elderly couples, they don't want too many games, right? So you can think through that lens as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so we had another question here. Steve said, can you talk a little bit about outdoor projects and trends for 2025? And I think that's really interesting. So pull up Black Mountain if you can, and I would talk about the amenities and what you did there. And I think a good thing to look at would be the before and the after there, because you did such an amazing job. It's probably one of your best projects ever. At least I think so. And so, especially with the amount of money that you spent there, I'm sure you probably agree. Okay, so this was the before of Black Mountain, and as you can see, the exterior is just kind of like blah, especially that downstairs area. But this is where we saw opportunity. So here's a huge mistake that I think people make right now in Airbnbs. And it's so funny because I see this playing out every single day as I sell houses. They will look at a house like this in Black Mountain and go, oh, I don't see it. It's so ugly. You know, the downstairs looks ugly. When we walked in the home, I mean, the sellers were smoking inside the house. Like, it was dusty, it was nasty. The designs, the floors were just torn up and in bad shape. It was really, really bad. But we saw a lot of opportunity here. We saw a decent cabin that we could put money into, or Sheeta and her husband Harshad could put some money into redoing. You've got a creek here. You're only a couple minutes from Black Mountain. And then you've got 2,000 square feet downstairs that you can finish and do a huge value add project in. And so let's see the final result here, Ishita. So look at what a different house this looks like. One, with some lighting, and two, with a whole new front yard. So this is like, I think the biggest problem for short-term rental owners right now is they look online and they like have no vision. So they see a pretty house and then they're like, I'm going to make this into a short-term rental. But it doesn't actually have any of the features that we need to make it a great short-term rental. It just looks pretty. So I like to call this the Broken Bow effect, right? Like Broken Bow, Oklahoma, if you guys have researched that market at all, it's got like hundreds, if not thousands at this point, of these modern mountain, new construction. They all look really great. They're all the same. They're all similar. They're awesome to look at. They're pretty houses, and you get shiny object syndrome. You're like, man, I want to really own that super cool house. But most of them are smaller. They're 2 or 3 bedrooms. They don't have a lot of footprint. And when you look at it, you already think that it's great. So your mind kind of goes to, I don't have to spend a lot of money to make this into a great property. And so you leave it as is, and the returns are just nominal. They're bare and they're average. You know, you buy a $750,000 house, you do 75,000 on it. This is a $630,000 house that they're going to do over $300,000 a year on. This is the one that just had a $2,500 a night booking over July 4th. And so you can see the difference in this house. I think that the number one thing that you're going to see success in short-term rentals in 2025 in design is taking projects that don't look pretty from the beginning, but they have some sort of value add opportunity, like this one had bathrooms that could be redone and 2,000 square feet that could be added to the house downstairs with another 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, sauna, game room, the whole 9 yard, movie theater, garage conversion. They did all that downstairs. I think the number one thing is, don't overlook an ugly asset. Look, like, try to start peeling the layers back, and then what I do nowadays, I feel like I'm like a great designer nowadays because what I do is I have a good photographic memory. So I'm almost taking Ashita's designs from the, I don't know, 70 or 80 projects she's done here in the last 2 years. And I close my eyes and I just start applying it to this house that I'm looking at. And I'm going, okay, I can see it. I see the movie theater. I see the game room. I see the wall murals. I see the added square footage. I see the outdoor amenities and the indoor design and all of that. And I start going, I can see this house being that. And that's where I think you make a ton of money. And I'll quickly break down the numbers. Bought this for 625. I think there was even some seller credit there. They put 450,000 into it. They added 2,000 square feet. It reappraised for 1.375, and on a 70% cash out LTV, they pulled $400,000 back out. They still have $350,000 in equity in the house. So they spent 450, they gained 750 in equity. They got 400 of that back in cash. Now they're only into this property for 50,000. If they do $300,000 a year, their net on that should be somewhere between 150 and 200, which is a 300 to 400% cash on cash return. Okay, Sheeta, I'll let you take it from there.
I mean, for us, value add makes more sense because again, it doesn't give us sleepless nights, right? Yes, it's a lot of work up front. One of the things that I would say is like when you hire the team, if you guys are going to manage it yourself, make sure that you have a great team backing you, because it is a lot of work. But the rewards and it's so much more sweeter towards the end. We, my husband and I, we love value add deals. That's what we get into. And this is the product. I mean, it's so rewarding to see before and after, and that is true. Like the bookings that we are getting, Black Mountain being 30 minutes 35 minutes away from Asheville downtown, no one, I think, Tyler, we didn't think that it would do the numbers that it is doing today. With the hurricane, obviously we had some lost bookings, but even this particular year it was at $260,000, and hoping like next year we can cross 280-300.
Yeah. So the question from Steven was about outdoor projects and trends. So let's look at everything that you did outside here.
Okay. All right. So, well, if you see, this is like, I don't know if there's a better photo that I can share. One of the features that this house had was a creek flowing right in front. So what we did was, and there was a tree house that was sitting in on, which was rotted, so we had to demolish it. But we made entire tree deck with a hammock. We made a lot of life-size games. So there is like a chessboard. We added a bowling alley. We added, I don't know what is this called, but it's more like a outdoor pool table. Then we added a play set area, a sand pit for kids, created like a retaining wall for a fire pit. And then if you see like an entire outdoor kitchen, this was a custom built pergola. Again, this adds to the value of the house when it is custom built. So yeah, we have 2 hot tubs as an amenity. Again, if you see what I was talking about, like they are not loosely placed. Everything has like an area around it. It is connected with the pathway. It looks cohesive. It feels more resort style rather than random amenities just thrown around in the front yard. Any questions?
Well, I think let's focus on that outdoor a little bit. So they built this fire pit area. I think a huge thing that you did in 2024 was retaining walls to kind of create these multi-layered leveled areas. That was huge. Yep, that's big and long range. I think a big thing that you've done is turf, right? You're getting rid of like live grass. One, we're in a market where in the winter all the grass dies and it looks ugly. So you're using turf versus having any grass. Now you don't have a huge landscaping cost, right? And your cleaners can kind of clean outside there. Then you've got this life-size chess. So I think life-size board games is going to be a huge thing we're going to see in 2025. Ashita and I are going to work on a life-size board game. We're not going to tell you which one, but I think it's going to blow people away. You've done pickleball courts. You did this treehouse. How much did this like treehouse area cost to actually build? What was the cost of that?
Just a treehouse, probably 7,500.
And it's such a huge amenity. And you've got like the lay down netted hammocks in there, right?
Yeah, we have a netted hammock there, and we had like yoga mats and some bean bags thrown on the tree deck. And then we could also utilize, we hung these swings which become a part of the fire pit. So it's just a nice viewing deck that adds to the whole experience. And with the creek flowing right next to it, it's a very meditative spot.
And none of these outdoor lights are solar, right? These are all hardwired in by an electrician. I think
I
it's
mean,
huge.
that
If you
is,
go to a five-star resort, you don't see solar lights. They're all wired in.
you don't want to play with a lot of solar lights. I mean, this area we couldn't because it is so, I mean, it is so wooded that in summers you're there's cast everywhere, so you might not be able to charge it. And I just don't like some lights working, some lights don't working. In the end, you want to give the overall experience to every guest coming in.
Yeah. Um, you did this dining area, which I think is really cool. You did a little putt-putt. You did an outdoor pool,
Yeah.
like a life-size pool. Yeah,
So
this amazing outdoor dining and hangout area.
and
I think the two hot tubs thing is really important. Like we're starting to see it more and more, especially for bigger properties having two hot tubs. And the two properties that I know that have two hot tubs are way outsized returns. One of them is doing over 400,000 a year. Those hot tubs are sunken down into the deck. There's two hot tubs. But imagine you have a group of 20 people staying and you have a 6 or 7 person hot tub. If you put two hot tubs in, you're going to beat everyone else that has one hot tub.
right.
Yeah. You did
And I
this little
think
cool sand pit area. What do you
I
think about lifestyle photography? I mean, obviously, this is something you're doing more and more.
I think that's huge. I mean, it markets itself, right? Like you can visualize your family and your friends enjoying the space when you see such photographs, rather than imagine if these people wouldn't be there, it would just be a bland photo. So I feel like if you can incorporate more lifestyle photo shoot, that would be huge. Um, we've seen a lot. We've seen a hot tub photograph with a charcuterie board and wine glasses, but having like a person sit in it, I think it just adds to it. So I'm a big fan of lifestyle photograph, and I think we are incorporating in that in all our projects right now.
I love that. Very cool. Okay, last couple of questions, y'all. Lena's asking, do you provide remote design services? Let's just go for a different way. What's the best way for people to reach out to you, Ishita?
I mean, I can my Instagram handle, my Facebook handle, but email me on ishita@ishitainteriors.com. I think that's the easiest way to reach out. And whatever questions you have, yes, we do give virtual designs as well. Just depends on our bandwidth, what we're working on at that point, because
Yeah.
we are into a lot of in-person design services.
And really the scope of work too. I mean, it has to be like you're not really at this point, 2025. I think if we were to sum this all up, 2025 is not about hosting hotel rooms in a house anymore. 2025 is about building a five-star resort style experience in these properties. And so if your project isn't going to be that, then Ashita may not be for you, right? But if you really do want to take a project to that next level, and really go so far above and beyond the competition, then definitely that's what Ashita is going to be amazing at. Would you agree?
I mean, I just think virtual design, we can plan everything. It's just very, very difficult to plan landscaping. We can do a 3D, but just execution, we just need to make sure that if you're hiring us for virtual design, you have the right team to execute our designs. Yeah.
And obviously, I'll just throw it out there, although you are growing different markets and you can do in-person design in places like Kentucky, Savannah, Georgia. I know you're doing one. In Florida, the Panhandle is a big area for you where you have a boots on ground on the team. But the best designs always come with the best team. You've got everybody from beginning to end, including all the contractors, electricians, all the things that you've seen. For sure, today still comes in Asheville.
For sure.
If you want to design
an hour radius.
yeah, an hour radius. I know. Okay, awesome, y'all. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Shoot us an email if you have any other questions. Ashita's email is right there in the chat, or send me an email and we're happy to connect you. If you guys want to start looking for super properties, either in Asheville or in any of our other markets, all of our our agents will have connections with great designers, and we all have contact with Ishita as well. So thank you guys for tuning in today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, y'all. Bye now.